And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And this is Dan. We've done that for 150 shows now, almost 150. What's this, 148, 149, something like that?
I thought we were past 150.
No, I think this is it, or close to it. Maybe we should have a special 150th. This is episode 148.
148.
Yeah, I literally typed that out this morning and totally forgot that I typed it out myself. So thank you guys for joining this show. I'm going to get right to part of it that we normally wait until after the intro, but there's some feedback. So if you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, you could go right down into the description and skip all of this pleasantries, this intro that we have,
the much maligned banter,
that is split. It's dividing the Be More community, really. And you could go right in to the articles that you want. So we're going to have each one of the articles that we talk about or each parts of the discussion, and there'll be a timestamp. Just click that timestamp and you'll zoom right to the article that you want to see. Also, we have Be More Chops. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and do that, and you'll be notified of each one of these articles because we will republish them as a separate quote unquote chop. Get it? It's a facial hair joke, and it's also a part of a clip, so it's like a chop. Anyway, and if you're watching us live on Facebook, you comment live just like D Jones said. Hey Beards, hi, and we can talk about you and your comments, so we appreciate you, D. Melissa Mara is joining us on YouTube. She says, hey guys. So is Ryan Bokros. He's live on YouTube, and we also have a Clubhouse audience. So if you're in Clubhouse and following the Real Estate Networking Club, you could join us live on Clubhouse, and then you can literally comment, and we can have a discussion back and forth, much like Julie Moon was yelling at her phone driving down the road, and then discovered that she could actually go on Clubhouse and talk to us. So feel free, all of you, to join us on Clubhouse as well. So, and a lot of people watch both places. So I noticed somebody will join us on Clubhouse, but then they'll also join us in the comments, just like Julie Moon. She's saying, hey, there she is. See?
Think about that, though. I mean, we're beautifully bearded men.
Yeah, you don't want to miss it.
You want to hear the dulcet tones of our voices, but you also want to see the masculinity that are these faces.
That's right. Well said. But we have a bunch of articles that we're going to cover today. There's a lot of economic data or economic data. And
yeah, you can say both of those words differently. There you go.
Yeah, you say tomato, I say ketchup.
I say Davenport.
Home prices in March. We're going to talk about what happened to those. Of course, they went up, but how much did they go up? And what was the last time they were that high? We're going to talk about houses in the U.S. and why it went up. There's an article that addresses this, which I think was funny. Like, do we really need this article? So I kind of put in the comments to Dan, it's not the article we need. It's the one we deserve.
We deserve this article.
Not being out there.
You guys, it's interesting when you read the actual, you're going to be blown away. So just stay tuned for that.
Blown away. April existing home sales drop. So we'll be talking about that and what that means. Is this the end? As Grant Cardone said the other day, is the market going to crash? Maybe he's trying again, because I know last May he sure said it was going to crash, and it didn't. Then we're going to talk about new home sales, and they fell 5.9%. The Treasury Department gives $6 billion to landlords. So what does that mean, and how can you get the money? And we have 3 CEOs/executives that appeared on newscasts this week, all talking about the quote-unquote real estate frenzy. And we're going to discuss if this market is starting to weaken or if this is something that'll be more long-term. Is this frenzy going to continue? How long will it continue? And if you saw my post on Instagram, you kind of know where I stand on it. But we're going to get more people than just me to give some valuable feedback in this vein. So thank you guys for joining us. Please share the show. I can't put that in the comments because we'll get depressed, but please share the show. If you're on Clubhouse, hit the little plus button, invite all the real estate professionals that you know, investors, consumers that are thinking about selling and buying, because hopefully this information will be valuable to them. And Dan, before we get into this, will you tell people what this show is actually all about?
You know what, Ray, I would love to. Now, it has been proven for Nico there watching over on hashtag Team YouTube. But for me, it has been proven that as you watch the show, the more you watch the show, the more your beard comes in.
That's right.
The unfortunate benefit of that is that women around the country are reporting more and more beard growth. So, but we can't control it. We do apologize. We're working on that, but it's tough to control this much awesomeness. So But when there you go.
Oh, that's terrible.
But when Ray and I met here on the interwebs about 4 or 5 years ago, before all 148 of these episodes, I had an idea for a show because I am in fact a bearded man in real estate, and I was at the time as well. In fact, I'm celebrating my 15th year of being fully bearded. FYI,
Really?
just so you guys know. Yeah, 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. No one has seen
Michelle-
my face or will see my face ever again.
Michelle West says she's getting one too. So
Yeah. So that's because you watch the show so often. So we appreciate your viewership, listenership, and all that stuff. But unfortunately, your beard's gonna be a great beard. But when I met Ray, all those years ago, and I noticed something very interesting about him.
Really, Daniel? What was that?
You're gonna love this one. He is a huge Razorbacks fan, and he's very, very excited that his women's softball team is going to the Super Regionals.
That's right. Not only is the women's softball team, but also the men's baseball team are probably going. Well, we're going to the regionals for sure, but most likely we'll also make it to the Super Regionals. Number 1 team in the country. So softball and baseball doing
and
well.
Yeah, and I think they're about number 6. They're ranked number 6 in the tournament for the NCAA 2A softball. They're a very good team. So I want to add to that, Ray. So we have a little softball assignment for our travel ball team for each player on the team. It's not official yet, but I think Jocelyn's leading towards following and supporting the Razorbacks.
Yay! So that means you be coming to Arkansas, my friend.
Might be kind of fun, yeah.
So that'd be very cool.
But no, I obviously noticed he's a beautifully bearded man, but he also had a layout for a show. It's the same format that we use today. But what I also noticed that he loves giving value up front to his clients and also just to humans in general. So the show's about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
That's right. And one of the things that we believe will help you to be more is if you can add value to your clients by knowing what in the world is going on in the marketplace. So that when your clients ask you, hey, I see this is happening with lumber prices. Hey, I see this is happening with pending sales. I just noticed that new home sales declined. I'm reading all these headlines. What's going on? You'll be able to tell your client, oh, here's actually what's happening. Here's a little bit below those headlines. And this is just one place to catch all that news and information. And so thank you so much. I also want to do a special shout out to our contributors who help get some of these articles on the docket for us. If you want to be one of those, just search for BMORE contributors and you'll find that group on Facebook. You're welcome.
Yes, there are many imitators, but ours has an exclamation point.
Yeah, there's an exclamation point in our group. All right, Dan, we got a couple of comments I want to get to. First, Colin JJ Cameron with his investment advice says AMC, rocket.
He loves that channel.
So if you've missed what's happening with Reddit and AMC, it's another thing. So don't take our investment advice for sure, but take Colin's. Julie, Colin, we even sent you a head football coach, right? Yeah, that's right, Julie. Thank you very much. You know what's funny is back when we had Houston Nutt, and he was the head football coach at the time, and he kind of backed out. I made a post on Facebook. It was one of those like long posts where you had to click to see more. And I was like, as some of you may know, Arkansas has been searching for a head football coach. So it's with much, I threw my hat into the ring, and it was actually throwing my hat into the ring for something totally different if you expanded the post. And I was surprised at how many people believed that I could be a football coach. So I played Pee Wee League, people. That's it.
Yeah. But like, you know what? He can do this.
Yeah. People were like, oh, congrats, Ray. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I'm like, God, I know nothing. All right.
By the way, you need to get to up here. D Jones asks, does Matt have a beard too?
Does Matt have a beard too? No, he does not, D.
He responds with LOL, nope, sad face. His nickname is Beardless the producer, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. The Beardless producer. All right, let me I'm getting a little bit of red bar death here. So I'm going to log off my Wi-Fi and hopefully the 5G will catch it. I'm getting a couple of calls right now. I'm gonna have to text that person. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching so far. Dan, are you ready to get into these headlines?
Yes, and if you guys can't hear, I have a puppy barking in the background, and then I have another dog, my other dog, staring at me right now.
Yeah,
they're very needy today. But yeah, let's go.
You got to give somebody a treat. All right, here we go.
And I do apologize for the raspy voice. Hopefully, you guys, you like it. But I've been coaching a ton of softball lately, so my voice is pretty much shot, and I have 2 more games today.
Really?
Yeah.
2 games in one day? Wow.
Yeah, 2 games one day. I had 5 games over the weekend. Yeah, so my voice is a little shot. By the way, my daughters are supposed to help me with the puppy dog who is barking in the background. So if you guys see me mute my mic and run off camera, it's because I'm yelling at my daughters.
No worries. All right, so let's talk home prices. Home prices in March saw the highest growth in over 15 years, said S&P Chase Shiller Index. So this report comes to us from CNBC that says home prices were 13.2% higher in March compared with March 2020, according to the S&P Case Shiller Index. That's up from the 12% annual gain in February, marks its 10th straight month of accelerating home prices. Now, we've said for a long time that you can't really compare to, last year, because last year is kind of a weird one. So in this article, let me see if I can find it in 2019. Well, let me get to this quote first. This is from Craig Lazar. He's a managing director and global head of the index investment strategy at S&P DJI. He says, these data are consistent with the hypothesis that the Rona has encouraged potential buyers to move from urban apartments to suburban homes, which I thought that was really interesting. That was kind of the first time that we've heard of that data point. We've talked about previously that people were not moving out of their zip code, that they were staying within their zip code, but moving the types of properties. And this is kind of showing some of that on the data. And you can look into some of the exact stats that they shared here that he's quoting from. It says this demand may represent buyers who accelerated purchases that would have happened anyway over the next several years. Alternatively, there may have been a secular change in preference, leading to a permanent shift in the demand curve for housing. So I thought that was both really interesting. So only 1.16 homes were on the market in April. That's a 20% drop year over year. So according to the National Association of Realtors, 20% drop in inventory year over year, April to April, which, last year, that's kind of interesting because last year specifically, it was low because people were taking their property off the market due to the Rona. So in my own market here, we're at about 50% below in some of the hottest parts of the city. So I thought that was really crazy. I guess it's the next article that compares it year over 2019, but very interesting. Dan, what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I just, because we have a lot of these articles as far as, what, and I think it's interesting. You said the part about a lot of people took their properties off the market when the Rona first hit.
Yep.
I don't recall that specifically, like me personally. Was that a thing? Did we talk about that?
That happened here. There were people that were thinking about selling that no longer put their home on the market, and then people that were on the market that said, let's see what happens when everything started to shut down. But we've kind of places like Colin JJ Cameron, who's watching, that he was deemed essential, so he literally couldn't sell a house that was on the market. So it's interesting to see what's happened with inventory compared to that, especially now that builders are back up building. A lot of builders, they took off. They're like, well, we're not going to be able to build for a month or two. So
shut down
for a little while. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have a glut of inventory right now. But I just thought that was an interesting comparison year over year, and I'm anxious to see how it plays out over the next several months.
And it's same. And I keep asking this question: is what's it going to take to get more sellers to sell? Like, we're all back. We're comfortable with the Rona now, right? Everyone's fine with the Rona.
If everyone that is worried about finding a place to sell or finding a place to buy when they sell, if they would all just throw their home on the market
everyone would have a place to buy.
Yeah, way closer to balanced.
Yeah, it would. Because that's after reading these articles and seeing and watching all the videos for this week. That's kind of. I think I've been there for a while, but it's kind of where I get is it 100% has to be. I would say 98% has to be. I don't have a place to buy. But if you listed your home, and then the person in the higher, who's right sizing and coming down in price point, and then you're going up in price point, if there's enough of those, it's all going to even out.
Yeah, you know that GIF image that is like the conspiracy theorist guy, and he's in front of a board and he's like making all these connections and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's what I feel like with all my buyers and the people that are about to list. I
yeah,
have like 8 or 9 properties that are all about to list, and I have all these buyers coming in. I'm like, okay, how can I connect all these dots and
right.
make it as easy as possible? So, all right, so let's go ahead and get into the next article. It kind of goes into why um, that this has happened with the home price increase that we just discussed in this article. Which
Uh,
kind of seems obvious, honestly.
it's an obvious article. It was kind of. Did we have one last week or the week before that was? Uh, it was like, okay, cool, thanks. It was like literally a 2-paragraph article.
Yeah,
This is the same.
yeah, yeah.
And it was like, okay, cool. You wrote down what we already knew, but thanks for putting. And and again, outside
Clickable
of this,
content, man. They just need
yeah,
clickable
outside
content.
of the salacious headlines that we're used to, it was kind of nice. It was totally pointless to write, but it was nice. It was nice to see it. So, houses in the U.S. cost 13.2% more in March 2020 than at the same time this last year. And then here's why houses are so expensive in the U.S. right now. So, with the Rona encouraging city dwellers to move to the suburbs and families looking for home offices and bigger yards, prices for the American dream home have skyrocketed. Home prices surged in March, up 13.2% from a year prior, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller National Home Prices Index. I love saying that whole title there. This is a quote from this is the National Association of Home Builders CEO Jerry Howard. Everybody expected housing to really sort of dry up with the rest of the economy. And in fact, the opposite has happened. People who have been sort of scared out of the cities by the pandy. People who have been sort of scared out of the cities by the pandy, with homeowners unwilling. By the way, we can't call it the other word, so we have to say the pandy.
We'll get depressed again.
Yeah. So
Not emotionally. Like our we'll have suppression of our show.
yes, we'll be fine emotionally, just
Yes.
not spiritually or show
But we need the clicks.
ways. Yeah. Anyway, we do. With homeowners unwilling to sell. The article straight up says, with the homeowners unwilling to sell, a record low supply of homes for sale has forced buyers into intense bidding wars at the end of April. There were only this is in the entire U.S. There were only 1.16 million houses for sale in the U.S. Isn't that crazy? That's down 20% from the year before. So, and remember, this is March, so things still hadn't hit yet. But we only have 1.16 million homes. So higher costs for land, labor, and building materials, including lumber, have also impacted home builders. With 30-year fixed mortgage rate hovering near a 50-year low and strong demand pushing prices to all-time highs, why is the housing supply so meager? So it's this question that we keep asking. And by the way, Rancho, where I live and work, we have 99 active listings, which is 99 active and coming soon listings combined, which is about a 3/4 month supply. So we're up in inventory because we had been hovering around now it's actually about the same. We've been at about a 20-day supply for a while now. So I don't know what it's going to take to get more people to sell. Maybe some incentives from the president. I don't
know.
Well, I mean, there's lots of incentives for buyers, right? But we don't need that. The main incentive can be interest rates that stay under 3.5%. And then you throw out grants, you throw out down payment assistance. That's all awesome. But if there's not enough listings for these buyers to use it on, then what are we doing? Why take more of their money away from capital gains? Why take more money away from their tax write-offs? Why do that? Why not say, hey, if you sell your house, we'll give you another 10 grand. Okay, cool. Like I don't get it.
Just pile on. Here's $10,000 just for listing your property.
All you got to do is sell your house. And then actually, you know what? When you sell your house, if you're also buying, we'll give you a $10,000 grant towards purchasing something. I don't know. Maybe I should be president. I don't know.
I mean, there you go.
Seems easy to me.
Okay, so let's do one more article, and then I want to take some comments specifically from Clubhouse, YouTube, and Facebook. From the viewers that are watching. I want to kind of hear what you think too, because this next one talks about the drop in existing home sales. So in April, There were a drop in existing home sales, marking 3 straight months of decline. So sales of existing homes dropped 2.7% from April to March. It was the third straight month. Sales were 33.9% higher than April 2020, but that
But right,
comparison is an anomaly because the housing market and the economy, uh, whatever with the pandemic, we know this.
right. We know what happened.
So they compared it to 2019. Any guesses, Dan, on how stronger or weaker we are compared to 2019?
Of actual existing sales, right? Like closed
Yeah,
sales.
yeah,
So to 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay, so let me just, we're 20% less. How much less than a year ago?
Let's see. Sales were 33.9% higher than April 2020.
Higher. Okay, sorry, higher.
Right, higher than April 2020. So what is it? What would it compare to April 2019?
8% higher.
8% higher?
Yeah, than 2 years ago.
I'm going to check. Do we have any comments? Do we have any guesses? I know it's going to take a minute.
And I'm kind of guessing because of the low inventory, there's not as many homes for sale, but there is a crazy buyer's frenzy. So it might be a huge number. It might be a big difference.
Yeah, I want to get some guesses on here. So I'm waiting on YouTube and Facebook to chime in here. Throw it out. Julie Moon with a great comment says maybe Biden needs a beard. It could go a long way. I'm not getting no guesses. So no one has any. I know there's a delay. So I'm waiting through the delay to make sure that we get. All right. None of you are going to guess. You could have won cash prizes. All right.
Well, now they'll guess.
Sales were still 11% stronger than April 2019. So you guessed 8%.
I was close.
You were really close, actually. So
I was going to say 13.
Up. See, Dan Mac now. So the delay's coming through. Dan Mac says up 28%. That's incorrect. Dan Ludwig was closer. So I thought that was a really interesting comparison compared to 2019.
Pete just guessed 11 after you said 11.
Yeah, well done, Pete. Well done. People are Googling it now because it said the word cash prizes.
Right.
The all cash share of sales. This is really interesting. The all cash share of transactions of sales rose to 25% from 13% a year ago. So investors made up 70% of all transactions. First-time buyers made 31% of purchases, a slight decline from a month earlier. Homes are selling in 17 days, the fastest that realtors have ever recorded nationally. 17-day on-market average nationally.
That's national.
Yeah. Newly built homes were measured by signed contracts, not closings. They rose 21% in March from February. So here's a quote from Danielle Hale, chief economist for Realtor.com. Rising seller sentiment could mean some relief is ahead, with perhaps an even greater than normal share of homeowners stepping into the market later this year. While it's not enough to end the shortage of homes for sale, this wave of sellers will make a dent.
Close enough.
What? Yeah,
I just like the positive spin. Well, it's not enough.
It's not enough. This wave of sellers will make a dent, is what it says, giving homebuyers more options to choose from.
I would call it a ding, not a dent. There's currently only 1.16 million houses for sale. That's it for the entire nation.
Yeah. Pete says there was a delay. Okay, yeah.
By the way, I heard that like George from Friends, George from Seinfeld. I was in the pool. There was a delay.
All right, so I want to bring up Jack. He joined us from Clubhouse. So Jack, I want to get your opinion on this market. I know you joined earlier, just right as we started the show. So I don't know if you have any comments specifically about these articles that we were talking about, but if you do, please chime in. Tell us who you are, what market you work in, and what do you think about this stuff?
Hey guys. I want to start out by saying I do have a beard. It started out a little bit post-COVID, so it feels good to be in the club with you guys.
I'm sure you're an amazing-looking man.
But I am I'm in the Marblehead, Massachusetts market, which is about 15 miles north of Boston, right on the coast. And the way I've seen things over the last year is that we've really been in a spring market since when they started opening up the doors last April and May. And the demand that we've seen, and let me back up for a sec. This whole conversation with everybody, real estate's so local that
Yeah.
everybody, you can't really argue with the guy one state over or in a different market. So this is exclusive in my market, but I know
Watch
that
me
there's a
try,
state.
Jack. Watch me try.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We need
But
clicks. We'll argue with anyone.
so we've seen a lot of people come out of the cities. It's funny because the cities were really on fire before, and I won't say the word. But so right now we are starting to see some softening. We've seen a lot of absorption over the last year, and we're starting to see the people that will do anything to get the house are far fewer. The showings are
Hmm.
fewer. Um,
Interesting.
and it's gonna start. We're gonna start to see a turn in the tides, if you will, on the massive demand being decreased demand, starting to impact different price ranges. And I think we're gonna look back in 22 and say, 20 and 21 were really just a big wave that came through, and then hopefully we get settled into a more normal pattern. But no, I know that there's a frenzy because of supply and demand. It's definitely not a fad. We've been through these cycles before, but this was one for the record books. It's been crazy, and what it's done when I go out and try to price real estate these days. We used to look back 6 months for comparable sales. Now I'm reaching out to people over the last 2 weeks that had listings on the market, trying to get a gauge on their showing activity, their offer activity, because if you catch a dead pocket and you're pricing to a higher volume, you're going to be overpriced and be hanging out in the market for a while.
So that's interesting. So you've seen a softening in your market. I don't know that we've seen a major softening here, but maybe very minor. I saw someone else posting about another real estate agent in another area. They were posting about a slight softening they've noticed over the last 2 weeks. But what I also know about the market in general is during this time period, there are people ending school all over the country at various times, like this week and next week and last week. And every year, I've been doing the business a little while. Every year, I kind of notice during the end of school graduations, there's a little bit of a decrease in the frenzy. Normally, it's not a frenzy, but just in the buyer activity and people willing to close right away. I wonder if the life timing has more to do with this than the market demand. Maybe it's not a shift in the market demand. Maybe we're used to this crazy market demand and we're sensing a seasonal shift that we would normally experience anyway. Do you think that
During
could be the
this
case?
crazy, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that could be the case, Jack?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, but and when I say demand lessening, um, you know, 2 offers instead of 10 offers is what I'm talking about. But that's definitely can be a trend pretty quickly. So I think it's probably more demand, but absolutely the life cycles definitely come into play as well.
That's cool. And Pete Thorpe just commented too. Fewer has just meant 2 to 3 offers instead of 8 to 12. Went $50,000 over. Um, on a $375,000 house and lost, 35K over on a $400,000 house and lost. So it could also mean that people are just kind of getting used to what they would have to offer and adjusting maybe the price ranges they're searching in. No longer do you have the 12 offers with half of them being list price or just above list price. Now you're just getting the 3 or 4 offers who are willing to put the 35, 40, $50,000 over. That could also be the case. But that's really
Yep.
interesting. Thanks for joining the comment. Jack, tell me what market you're in one more time.
Just north of Boston, Massachusetts, Titletown.
There you go. Titletown.
I heard the Razorback, so I had to throw that in.
He had to throw that in, huh?
Yeah. All right. With that, Jack, see you later. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for joining. So Christina M. Smallhorn joins us. She says, hello, boys. Hello, Christina. Thanks for joining us on the Facebooks. So that's really interesting. That's an interesting perspective. And I know we have seen a little bit of a slowing. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show. We have 3 executives that kind of gave some opinion on what's happening in the market. And the news commentators were asking them, are you worried? Are you seeing a softening? And they were all saying no. But I had a real interesting conversation with a builder yesterday. And he basically said, "What's going to happen with the market? What do you think?" And so I told him my opinion on it, and I told him I thought he would see a little bit of a decrease or a softening over time, but I didn't think it was going to be that immediate. I thought it would be a lot more longer run. So I'm interested to get you guys' opinion. If you're just joining the show, stay tuned. At the end of the show, we're going to kind of have a short roundtable discussion on what's happening in your market, and hopefully you could chime in, let people know too, because we do have referrals that get passed in this group. Every now and then Lance will come in with a referral specifically, but there are also agents in our group that pass referrals to each other, because this is one group that kind of knows what's going on in the marketplace. So you can be confident in that. But Dan, do you want to go ahead and get into the next article?
Yeah, I do, and I just want to tell that story. I shared it to the contributors. The one house that we had viewed, we didn't offer on it because we figured it was going to get bid up quite a bit. It was listed at 1.2. Now I'm not going to sit and wait for the delay and see guesses, but it was listed at 1.2, and Ray, it closed at $2.1 million.
Wow.
80% over list. Now, this is a dialed property. It was bigger for the market, which y'all can laugh at this, but it was 1,500 square feet. That's a bigger home for that market. It's a very, very, very nice home, 10,000 plus square foot lot. So very big lot for that area as well.
Wow.
But the seller is a master.
That's my downstairs and my front yard, by the way.
Yeah.
For 1/10 of the price, you can buy my downstairs and the front yard.
Yeah. But it's the seller is a master woodworker. So literally the house is beautiful, inside and out, wood everywhere. Yeah. Everything was more than custom. It was like an art piece. So
that's where the price came from. Then it's clearly the wood.
Yeah.
We all know what's happening with lumber prices.
And we know what the lumber prices. We know what that guy paid for it. And he's a master craftsman. So 2.1 million. But yeah, I mean,
easy.
I don't know. I mean, there's probably crazier stories, but 80% to list, I think above list is pretty insane. So,
yeah.
But yeah, let's get into, so this is new home sales. So you had existing home sales dropping, right?
Yeah. Existing home sales dropped. We just did that one.
Now we have new home sales fall almost 6% in April after a big March gain.
What in the world?
So, and even with all this, home builder sentiment is still up. I still don't understand how that works, but sales of new homes fell a bigger than expected 5.9% in April, a drop that analysts blame in part on rising home prices. Yeah. Sales dropped, and the cost of wood too, but sales dropped to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 863,000 units last month. The Commerce Department reported Tuesday. That followed a sales pace of 917,000 in March, which was revised down from an original estimate of 1.02 million. And that would have been the fastest pace since August 2006 during the peak of the housing boom. The median price of a new home sold last month was $372,000, up 11.4% from March, while the average, not the median, the average price of a home sold in April was a record $435,000. And I believe, Ray, this means new construction, new home sales. So up to 435,000, which is an 8.7 increase from March. And this is a quote, soaring home prices are taking a toll on sales, and we expect the pace of sales to moderate further over the rest of 2021, said Nancy Vanden Houten, and she is the lead U.S. economist for Oxford. I love that last name, Nan. She's been on the, she's been quoted before. Nancy Vanden Houten. Mm-hmm. Lead U.S. economist for Oxford Economics. Part of the price pressure is coming from a lack of new and existing homes for sale. The Commerce Report said that the inventory of new homes for sale increased 3.9% in April compared to March, but was still down 1.6% from a year ago. Economists said the declines in part reflected the headwinds presented by surging costs for lumber and supply chain restraints in obtaining such products as new appliances. But analysts said with demand for homes remaining strong, sales should continue to be robust in coming months. This is a quote from Abby Omodunbi. I'm going to butcher this. Omodunbi. 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 She is a senior economist at PNC. She says the outlook for new and existing home sales remains very strong in 2021. The fundamentals for housing are very good. Mortgage rates are very low, and there has been increased demand for homeownership as many companies have embraced remote work. So she has a positive kind of outlook on the end there, but without home builders building home and sellers selling their homes, what are we going to do, Ray?
Yeah, it's kind of the crux of the matter, which we'll get into more of that towards the end of the show. But it doesn't seem to be a big secret. I mean, Pete Thorpe said it. If Pete Thorpe knows it, everyone should know it, right, Pete? He said he said sales fell because they can't keep up with the demand, the increase in prices. We have townhouses that have delivery estimated in December that are sold out already, and that's it. So we said 3 or 4 years ago, I guess 3 years ago, when we first started the show, we were talking about supply and demand, and it was like a 3 or 4 month supply kind of around the country. And we had said at the time, I had said, hey, if it goes below 1.5 months in that range, builders are going to have trouble keeping up with the demand. Well, it went below 2. Builders were having trouble keeping up with the demand. Then they were paused because the Rona. Then lumber,
then it really went
prices, all the lumber prices went up, and materials got delayed because production had stopped for a while. And so then now it got really behind. So because they're less than a month of inventory for these new homes, it's going to be a long time, I think, before they crawl out of this. So, and I'd love to get you guys' opinion.
Who does a lot of new construction out there? What's average build time for a home? You know, if I go by in a new phase and the house hasn't even been started yet, what is that? Is that 2-3 months out?
No, I mean, if it's a
regular market, not all this madness, just a regular 5 years ago.
5 years ago, it's like 3 and 4 months.
Okay,
they could build a house in 3 or 4 months.
So now we can't get wood, but it's too expensive. Labor's expensive. I can't find land. There's no other homes for sale.
Yeah,
and I paused for 2 months. I mean,
most of the builders in our area now are saying anywhere from 6 months to 8 months.
And Pete, 7 months from now, there's homes that are going to be ready that are already sold out.
Yeah.
So what are these people doing for 7 months? Just staying in their rental, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I've got people that are selling now that are meeting with builders, and they're going to go into a short-term rental for a little while, but they're making enough money off of their house to benefit them, and it makes it worth it, and they can live where they want to live.
Jeez.
So that's kind of what my post was about on Instagram. It's not always about making the dollar for dollar amount on your home. It's more about living where you want to live and spending a portion of your life where you love.
Think about that too. So Julie Moon makes a great point. Many of their local builders are unwilling to do pre-sales. Think about it. What if you build a home saying, here, buy it at this price, and it's 7 months you can have the home? What if lumber prices keep going up?
I think the bigger,
you have to write that into the contract.
The bigger builders are willing to do that, and they are also writing that into the contract as well. That's what I've been seeing.
Because a lot of like construction stuff, they're saying you get 2 weeks at this price, but if lumber goes up, I'm going to have to change. Your awning is going to cost a little bit more.
David says that's why builders are building to rent now. Yep.
Because they can build it and get someone in there now.
Yep. D. Jones says, but there are no rentals. Yeah. Airbnb, short-term rentals. Julie Moon said that's why contracts say that builders can unilaterally increase the sales price. I haven't seen unilaterally. I've seen it built into where it says we have this much cushion and we're going to go from this price to this price, and you okay it if we have to increase this price due to materials cost. But if it goes outside of that range, then there's another discussion or negotiation that needs to be had. And usually it's a talk with the lender.
So can we officially call our situation dire?
No.
I mean, I don't know if we should, but like, I don't see, because I do not see new construction as being the solution for the inventory shortage. I don't see how that's going to happen.
It's all partial solutions. That's a partial solution for it.
But they're still 6-8 months out from even catching up at all. They'd have the new starts would have to go up quite a bit, and we have not seen that. So then it's going to have to come from resale, right?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot coming from resale.
That's going to have to make up 75% of the you're saying in bits and pieces, but when is that going to happen?
Yeah, I think buyers are also going to have to settle for properties that they didn't really. It's not like the perfect property, but it's one that they can make perfect. I think you're going to see more and more buyers buying the properties that need the work. They're going to pay over list price until those comparable properties catch up, and they're going to get in there and do a full remodel.
But what if they can't? What if they're using their grant? What if they're using their down payment assistance and they're just going to have to live in the 5 until they can make it a 10?
Yeah, that's going to be the hard part, I think.
Yeah. So again, can we call this situation dire? The Fresquez wants to call it FUBAR.
FUBAR.
Do we all know what FUBAR stands for?
I don't know what FUBAR.
Effed up beyond all recognition.
Okay. All right. Julie Moon says we would like to see more movement locally on accessory structures. Interesting.
Does that mean the ADUs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's an awesome thing here in California, that most of the homes I show either are now, can get them added on or already have them built. They've turned their garage or an external structure into an ADU. It's pretty cool.
All right, I do want to address a question that was asked earlier. We really didn't talk about it much, but I want to get this out there just because we know and we have the answer at our fingertips. Melissa Mara asked a question. When was the last time we had a bearded president? I'm glad you asked, Melissa. The answer to that.
I looked it up, by the way.
It's this guy right here. His name's Benjamin Harrison. He's a former president of the United States. He was
89.
Yep.
Not 1989,
1889. Yeah. There you go. 1883 or 1833 is when he was born, died March of 1901. Benjamin Harrison. There's your quiz for the day, everyone.
Yeah.
All right. So
let's go. Hold on. Well, there are very few bearded politicians in Congress. Being clean shaven wasn't always the norm, though. There are plenty of presidents with facial hair. Facial hair is different. So that I got in that article.
A bunch of mustaches before.
Bunch of mustaches. There's a lot of chops, like that kind of chop thing happened in the early.
Speaking of chops, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel where you'll be more chops.
All right. So all I'm getting from this is I need to run for president. Or either Ray or I need to run for president. Maybe we'll run together.
They do not pay enough. All right. Speaking of money, let's talk about the Treasury Department. They give out $6 billion to assist landlords and renters. More money is on the way. So the Treasury, this article comes to us from CNBC. Treasury Department announced Friday that it's dispersed more than $6 billion to states to help the landlords struggling because of the Rona. Between the last two major stimulus packages, Congress has allocated more than $45 billion in rental assistance. States now have access to more than $30 billion of that money, and the rest is supposed to be available in the next few months. You can go to the article to see more info. Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Wally Adeyemo, said in a statement, the Treasury is committed to providing direct, rapid support to those that are impacted by the Rona and addressing the deep disparities in our housing systems that threaten the economic recovery. I'm wondering, though, if this has, I guess it's only housing. Let's see, does it say residential? I'm wondering about the commercial landlords. I was on Clubhouse a couple of days ago and someone said, hey, I'm joining this real estate conversation because I currently rent out my shop. I can no longer afford to make up the payments from the forbearance I was in.
Yeah. So what about those? So
how do I get relief? Is it possible for me to get relief? Will the landlord be relieved if I don't pay? And that's a good question. I don't know that any of that money goes to commercial. It looks like they were talking about housing, so that would just be residential. But that would be a great follow-up question to figure out. So I'll do a little bit of digging in that, or one of our Be More contributors can right now. Julie Moon says beards 2024. David Fresquez totally agrees. Says ladies love bearded men. There you go, David. When's your beard coming along, David? All right.
I don't know if it can.
Are you ready to get into the deep dive? I thought that was interesting. You guys chime in if you know more details on that or where the money's going. But let's talk about, is the housing demand starting to weaken? And we've talked about this a little bit already during the show. But this article is from Redfin. Do you want to do the transition, Dan?
No.
All right. So I'm just going to get ready. Is the housing market starting to weaken? This is from Housing Wire, first Housing Wire article of the day. 50% of the homes sold for more than their list price during the 4 weeks ending May 16th. Let me repeat that. Half of the homes that are on the market sold over the list price. So pending sales for the 7-day period ending in May 16th were down 10% from weeks prior, an 8% increase during the same period in 2019. So again, it compared it to 2 years ago. So we're 8% over where we were 2 years ago.
Wait,
Mortgage
so
purchase.
I nailed that one, just wrong
You
statistic.
did nail that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mortgage purchase applications decreased 4% week over week. So this is a quote from Daryl Fairweather. He's a Redfin chief economist. He says, "Make no mistake, the housing market is still very hot and will remain hot for the rest of the year. But there may be signs that some buyers would rather spend their money on restaurants and vacations and things they can have back for the past year instead of housing now that the threat of the pandy is dissipating in America." If I was going to buy a house, I probably wouldn't blow all that money on a vacation or a restaurant personally, but he's a chief economist, so maybe it's a guns and butter type situation. It's like a housing and butter type situation. Daryl. Oh, really? Huh. Somebody said Daryl Featherweather is a woman. I just got a text. Thank you for letting me know. I had no idea.
Oh.
Yep. Let's see. Mortgage rates spiked last week, jumping 6 basis points to 3%. A possible determinant would be home buyers are eyeballing the sub 3% rates they saw last year. So basically, the rates did tick up to that 3% number. Maybe people are waiting on them to go back down, see what happens. And then it has the median home prices and all that kind of stuff. I won't bore you with those details, but I just thought it was interesting. Nearly 50% of the homes sold for more than list price. The pending sales are down. It looks like there's a little bit of softening demand. We've talked about that a little bit. And there are 3 videos that we can link up. Matt, if you could just pop those links in the chat for people. One is from Zillow's Susan Daimler. Daimler. Daimler.
Daimler, like Daimler Chrysler. Yeah.
Yeah. And she basically said that they are not worried. And they're still headed. They're not worried at all about the market, what it's doing. They're still headed to the quote, one-click nirvana. And she said, if someone needs to sell or buy a house or get a mortgage or title insurance or an agent, she added there at the end, that they could use Zillow to do it, but they're not worried about the rates going up because it's still a historic low. Do you have anything to add on that one, Dan, that you picked up in their conversation?
Just kind of the same things. I had a couple more, but yeah, that she's not concerned. That we're still at record pace on volume. But she mentioned that she's starting to see listings creeping back on. So
an increase in inventory.
Yeah. Now she put stats behind some things, but she didn't really on that one. So she may just be going by their own data, what they're seeing. But I was curious to know if anyone else is seeing that, just kind of, because like I said, I run my numbers like weekly just to see what's available. And then obviously that's just my own current or my own smaller market. But then wherever my buyers are looking, I kind of look to see what new stuff is popping on. I'm not really seeing a crazy shift in it. Maybe creeping back on is a way to say it. But then I also, she calls the current market the great reshuffling because of people moving around,
Mm-hmm.
The mass exoduses from New York and California. But she also mentions that millennials will keep buying. So they're kind of, as we go through this, they're aging into that buying age and they're going to keep buying. Even though they're going to regret it. What was the percentage? 42% or something?
Oh, no, it's higher than that. It was like 60 something percent.
64% or something.
Millennials, yeah. Have some higher buyer's remorse. So Realogy, there's a Realogy CEO that also talked about the frenzy. Consumer demand, quote unquote, is sky high. And that's kind of what he was talking about. And Logan, who has been on the show before, as far as the audio listener from Clubhouse, he's talked about this too, how the demographics are right. The Realogy CEO is not worried at all about demand or about the market. They asked him, is it troubling? He said, I don't think so. The primary drivers demand and the rotations of geography. Again, it's the same thing that she did, talking about how people were moving around the country and they're moving for life reasons and not just investment reasons. Millennials are hitting the primary housing age and at historical low interest rates. So he wasn't at all worried, saying that basically all of this frenzy that we have now is based on strong demand and not based on weird financial functions, which is kind of what caused the demise in 2008 8 and 9, is
Right.
that people are getting the money you shouldn't get the money. Right now, this demand is crazy demand, and more people are paying cash for a house, and there's more equity going into homes, more bigger down payments. There's people adding to the loan amounts with cash. So there's a lot of equity built into the prices already. So he wasn't worried at all. Did you have any more notes on that one?
That one specifically. I just want to say from my market, because there was let's see which
At the end
comment.
of this, for those of you listening on Clubhouse and also watching on YouTube, I want to get your opinion. So raise your hand so you can join or just start commenting. Are you concerned at all about what you see in the market? I see lots of people posting in the real estate masterminds and all this stuff about, hey, are you at all troubled about your buyers buying over list price? Are you at all troubled about your people moving and not knowing exactly where to go and then paying over for something they're getting? Are you guys at all troubled about what's happening in the marketplace? Are you concerned? Do you think it's going to lead into a crash, like Grant Cardone said? So raise your hand. I want to get your feedback. Matt will pull you up, and then we can talk as soon as we discuss these last two. Go ahead, Dan. Do you have anything?
Well, I'm just definitely not seeing, concerned about a crash like Grant Cardone is trying to stay relevant by saying, but this week's shade. No, Michelle West said she's seeing more and more price reductions. So I just went over to our numbers, and I mean, there's some, but not anywhere near when we were in more of a flat market. But I'm also seeing a lot of price increases on active properties. So
that's interesting. You're seeing, wait, hang on.
Price increases.
You're seeing price increases on active properties.
So usually what that would mean is that they went into escrow at, let's say, 500. It didn't appraise, or they got a bunch of offers at 560, and then that buyer couldn't perform. So now they're listing it at 560. So that's what I'm saying.
Or they went under contract at a higher than list price. They got towards closing table. It did appraise, and now they're relisting it at that newly appraised value.
Well, now they can't cancel. The seller needs a reason to cancel.
Yeah, I mean, the buyer walks away or something, or has a job change or whatever. Yeah.
So, but I mean, previously though, in more of a flat market, I would never see a price increase. The price increases were when someone accidentally put in $1 and they're like, no.
Yeah, that's exactly. No. I left a zero off. That's 1.2 million, not 120,000.
It's not $120,000 house. It's 1.2 million.
I actually called a lady one time on a $180,000 mansion, and I called the agent. I said, "Well, I guess you're getting a lot of showing requests today." She said, "I am. I cannot believe it.
So weird."
I said, "Did you notice that you probably left off a zero?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm assuming you're not selling this for 180,000." She was like, "What's 1.8 million?" So she updated that.
Little bit of an issue there, but
apparently I was the only real estate agent that called instead of just scheduling the showing. like there's going to be a real estate agent that says, "Well, we're paying full ask and it's listed in the MLS, so you got to give it to us."
Yeah. Someone's like, "No, I'll give you 500,000 for this." That'll be way over asking.
Way over asking. You have to take it because it's listed in the MLS at 180,000.
Yeah, like if those superstores that if you go in there, if you see it at this list price, that's what we'll sell it for because we don't mess up on our pricing. Well, you did.
That's right. It's like Walmart.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm still not listed for this. You got to sell it to me for that.
I had, so he kind of, this is the reality. It was Ryan Snyder, right? He's the CEO of Realogy. Yeah. Real OG. Averaging what their numbers averaging 5.1 offers per listing. So I would assume that's down, which is a good thing,
Yeah.
Consumer demand is sky high. He says luxury has a reasonable amount of inventory. Yeah. So remember, we talked a long time about the real deals are in luxury. They're just sitting and sitting and sitting. Well, so
when we started the show, it was an 18-month supply in our state for luxury homes.
Yeah.
And luxury is considered like over 600,000 or so in our market now. So
yeah,
that was at an 18-month supply.
Yeah. And now, it's and then he kind of mentions, the because of this effect, the white collar has been, so it's pushed people up into that price range. And so more things are getting bought up and quicker because I see more inventory in that higher price range for my clients that we're looking in that range, but it's still not enough. Then things are still getting the 10 offers and stuff. So they're still higher than the average. But I mean, that's outside of the exodus from California. But I still see a lot of offers on those properties. And then this was kind of a no brainer statement, but people are buying in locations because that's where they want to live in, and not doing the kind of live and flip thing. He's comparing it to 15 years ago. People would kind of, oh, well, I can, I'm going to live and flip and I'm going to obviously make money because things are going up so quickly. But he said now people are buying to live in that location because they can live where they want and then work remotely. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
This last one is Douglas Elliman. This is a little bit specific to the New York City real estate market, but he basically said New York City real estate demand is back, and he was mainly saying in the lower 1/3 of the market. He said people are taking advantage of the economy and the low interest rates. There's new developments have surged year over year, but they're still not back to where they could be. He goes on to say that the more, for New York City specifically, they would likely need to see changes in politics.
It's politically driven for a big change to happen. So less taxes and all that stuff.
Yeah, changing the tax policies and things like that. They're building in South Florida. Douglas Elliman.
Yeah, he even mentions he's like, because the guy asked him, "Hey, are you doing any deals?" No, not right now. No, everything's in South Florida right now. I was like,
yeah. Which is good. I mean, that's basically his point. Like, hey, it's coming back, but it's not back enough yet,
right?
For us to do big deals with it. Michelle West, she said that she's seeing more reductions, price reductions. She said that she thinks it's a seasonal increase. A seasonal increase in what? What was that, Michelle?
David's supposed to go together.
Yeah, maybe. David said most agents are selling the wrong product, and that's primary homes. They should be selling to diversify, not divesting. Interesting. Good take. Matthew says Zillow price change of your home in your area, slight increase by 900%. Yeah, so raise that list price.
Yeah, you get that update. You're like, yeah, I was following that $180,000 mansion. It's now 1.8 million.
That's right.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to get to Nico. You're first up, man. Tell us who you are, what market you work in, and what do you think? Are we seeing a softening on the market? Is the market going to crash, a la Grant Cardone, Susie Orman, or your latest YouTube star? What do you think, man?
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. My beard head did not grow watching this episode, so I just want to give that as a note. So I'm in the North Jersey market, right outside Manhattan. My office is looking at the George Washington Bridge that brings you right into the Bronx. So Bergen County is the county right outside of Manhattan. We have 70 municipalities. You have Alpine, which is I think the richest zip code in the United States. And then you have other towns that the zip codes are very, average as far as income. There's towns in Bergen County that you have approximately 30 homes on the market. And these homes are, I have one of my listings. We had to do a price drop twice. We had no attention from day one.
What price point is that?
Other towns that are just a little bit further south in Bergen County or west in Bergen County, that you come on the market, you're getting 16 showing appointments within 10 minutes of going on the market. Wow. And now this towns that $500,000, like Fort Lee and Paramus, won't find you nothing. And then if it comes on the market, boom, it's out of control. So in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, parts of our area is already starting to become a buyer's market, where other parts of this area is still a hot seller's market.
That's interesting. So you're seeing a division in your market itself. Some parts of the market are becoming a buyer's market. Some are still a hot seller's market.
Correct.
So the most desirable properties, of course, and the cutest properties in our market are going very fast. But you do have some that are taking a longer time to sell, specifically those that are in the maybe it's like an overbuilt home in a less desirable area. Those were.
If I could also add.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Nico.
And if I can also add, so some of these markets, the school system is one of the best school systems in the county, and those are the houses that go on them. They're not getting that much attention versus these other areas that the school system, high taxes. aren't favorable, for a lot of people to move
Hmm.
into. These are the towns that are, they're getting offers out of control. So I can't even tell you it's, because there's a good school system, low taxes. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just different areas. Just a lot of people coming on the market, and it's just overwhelming the market, becoming a buyer's market.
That's crazy.
So it's literally the influx of inventory that's causing
Right.
the buyer's market then.
Which is what I called for.
Yeah.
What is he the one that was saying he's getting things accepted under ask, or was that someone else last week?
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he's
Nico, you were
also
talking
seeing the
about
Yeah,
that,
other
right?
side.
that was
Yeah.
yeah,
Which
that was me.
Nico,
So I mean, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
yeah, I was gonna say you have an awesome video strategy too with that.
You love
Yeah, I like
it.
it.
It works.
I like it. He shared it
It
with me.
works.
So you guys, if you're in the clubhouse, hit up Nico. Uh, Nico, how do I pronounce your last name, man?
Atanasio,
Okay,
the
that's
neighborhood seller. You can just call me the
that's
neighborhood seller.
beautiful.
Okay.
Atanasio. I don't know if I said it right, but that's a beautiful name. So
No,
you
you
guys,
actually did it perfect.
oh really? There you go. So you guys hit up Nico. You can find him on Instagram too. He is then BH Sellers. Is that your Instagram name too?
No, my Instagram is the neighborhood sellers.
The Neighborhood Sellers. So find him on Instagram and hit him up if you want that video strategy. But he's using it to get some offers accepted and accepted below ask. And he shared a couple of those videos with me. Very cool. So y'all hit him up there. And thanks for joining us, Nico, and thanks for your input.
Always, always enjoy you guys.
Melanie, my favorite Michigandian Australian. How are you
Isn't
today?
it like saying your favorite son when you've only got one?
Yeah.
That's right. It is. You're the only one I have. And I
Yeah.
can barely hear you. So you may have to put your phone a little closer to your mouth there. But tell us what's going on in your market. Do you think this is the end? Is everything going to crash? What's the deal?
So I think, well, the crash I think is going to be area by area, state by state, time by time, what's going on. What I think is more interesting is when we think that our clients are overpaying, because what we need to consider is what's their longevity in that home. So if I'm talking to somebody residentially, or if I'm talking to somebody who's second home or vacation rental, it has a big difference. And so I think we have to take into consideration, what is it that they're buying? Is it what they love? Is it a short-term strategy? Is it a long-term strategy? Because that has more bearing on what they're paying and what they can consider the value of the property is going to be. Does it have room for them to grow in the future? Can they do improvements? Where can they add value? I think those have more bearing on the overpaying strategy than anything else. Because I know sometimes I see properties get listed and I just cringe. My stomach is like, ugh, who wants to pay that? But I have to remember, I'm not paying. My client is paying. So which client am I putting towards that, and how is that working for them?
That's good. So, and that's one of the things I shared on my Instagram story too, is that who am I? Basically, I didn't phrase it like this, but who am I to tell a buyer, no, don't pay that. That's too much. You're paying above market value. When in reality, it's where they're going to live. It's their decision to spend part of their life in that home. Now, I can advise them and say, here's what's going on in prices in the area. But I also have to tell them that those closed home sales that I'm comparing it to, that's a 30-day-old market right there. And with everything selling at a national average of 17 days on the market has flipped twice since those
Since
properties.
that home closed. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's crazy to think about, but that's where we are. So it's akin to people saying a couple of years ago, it would be like someone saying, are you insane to allow your seller to accept that below list price offer? Like that's the same thing as saying, are you insane for allowing your buyer to pay more than list price? It's what the market is dictating. And if
Well,
the
they're the
seller,
market.
they are the market. And if the seller wants to sell and if the buyer wants to buy, then I'm willing to represent them and help secure that property for them because that's my job. And then hopefully I can give them some great tips on home maintenance to keep and maintain the basic value of the home, as well as what to do to increase the value of their home and hopefully not overbuild. So, Melanie, I think you're 100% correct. And I totally agree with you there too. Let's see. Michelle West, she says new listing seasonal increase and then price reductions. Not a crazy amount of price reductions, but more than last month. So you are seeing some price reductions. That's a cool stat to track, is to see what is actually happening with the price reductions. So, all right, do we have any other comments in the clubhouse there? I see a couple of people are joining the show. Thank you guys. Elizabeth, I see you there. Julie Moon. Julie, do you want to say something out loud instead of yelling at us? Or
She just likes to yell.
she just likes to yell. And then now she comments on. Oh, there she is. See, Julie Moon is up now. Now you can say it out loud. Hey, Julie, how are you?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I'm always multitasking, so that's why I have you on Clubhouse. I'm listening, and then I'm watching you on YouTube, and then I can type things in as I'm doing it while I'm also doing something else.
She likes multiple outlets.
Multitasking.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks for joining the show, and thanks for being my example. Like, you popped on right as I was talking about you, so that turned out perfect there. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on today's show. Dan, did you have anything else to add about the end of the world? Is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Before we close the show, you want to give your prediction?
No, I just, it's just, I think buyers are I've said it 1,000 times. I think buyers are going to start getting tired of losing out on properties. And I think maybe that's already happening. That's why we're not seeing 25 offers on listings. We're seeing an average of 5.1 now. Or the other possibility is those other buyers all got a home and there's just less buyers now. But yeah. I do. Yeah,
it's kind of like the refi. You remember the refi surge that we saw, and then it started to decrease. People are like, "Oh, the refis are decreasing. It's the end of the refi market."
It's really always the end of something, right? But
maybe people were just, they're done. They're not going to refi anymore because they think it was the bottom, and they got their refi in, and now they're done.
Yeah, and I do worry about the mass exodus from California.
As Julie Booth said, that's really good. She's trying to see if her buyers want to buy a home with other buyers. What? Wait, hang on. Hang on. And Colin is continuously promoting his AMC. Thanks for joining the show, Colin. Your valuable input. Julie, tell me more about this. What'd you just say?
I'm being sarcastic, but it would really work out if everybody just, wanted to go in on a house together. That would really help us in our inventory problems, right?
Oh, you totally got me. Yeah, I was like, hang on.
Hold on. Is really a strategy you're employing?
That's good. I love it. Jason Bates, he said buyers are getting frustrated and renting. I have a couple of them this week. So that's one of the things that the crash bros are saying will cause the demise of the American housing economy, is that if all these renters that were going to buy a house, instead, they can't buy a house, and so they renew their lease for another year. And they said if the lease gets renewed, what was the other contingency? If the leases get renewed and the interest rates spike and inventory doesn't get better, then you're going to have a housing market crash. That's what they were saying. Oh, yeah. And everyone who's in forbearance gets foreclosed on. That's the recipe for disaster.
But sure, it would be a recipe for disaster. But what it's down to 2.4% is forbearance.
Yeah, I thought it was 4. It was cut in half of what it was last year.
Yeah, it's cutting down. So, and we haven't seen a crash. That 4% difference, those all didn't go into foreclosure. So, but I mean, I do have to say, agents I know are getting more and more BPO calls. So. If that leads to anything,
Well, we should have a normal market of foreclosures for a whole year. Suddenly flood the market. I mean, we should see a year's worth of foreclosures on the market.
But it wouldn't crash the market. It wouldn't.
No,
it may mellow the market out. But I've said it 1,000 times. That would just supply inventory for either different types of buyers or the average buyer out there right now.
It would supply inventory for the bottom 1/3 of the market, which is struggling the most.
Right. It would be a good thing, but right now also, hopefully those people that are in forbearance have equity and they can sell and still not lose money.
Julie says, what happens when folks go back to work in September and the extended unemployment ends? Yeah, that's a good point too. When they actually start making money,
the market's going to crash.
Jason Bates says, I don't see forbearance being an issue as those people have the equity so they could sell. Yeah, that's what we've been saying too. And if you haven't caught our forbearance video, the forbearance video, we did an ad for a late night television product that could help you if you were in forbearance or finding forbearance. And D says, Julie, you were just joking about buyers buying buyers with buyers, buyers buying houses with buyers. But D says, I see that here in Jersey, especially mansions. shared housing. So we are seeing house hacks too, where someone takes a mansion and then hacks it, and then you can rent out both sides. But I haven't seen that on the buying side.
But
There you go.
nothing leads to it to crash. Yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway,
there's the ad. Don't get forburned.
all
All right.
right,
Well,
go
thanks
watch
everybody for joining
Laverne.
the show.
Check
Go
out the
watch it.
cameo at the end. But yeah, I got appointments. I gotta go.
Yeah, we got to go make some money so we don't get forburned. Thank you guys for joining the show. Bye, everybody.
Bye.